Hello again, everybody. Welcome back to 15 Good Minutes. It's your guy, Coach B. I'm here with the A-Team. JR, how you doing, buddy?
Good, man. I'm doing good. Getting better every day.
We got a fresh cut working there. Like, you don't look as ragged as it was last week.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You couldn't get me twice, bro. You couldn't get me twice.
Freddie, how you doing, man?
I'm well, and you?
Doing good, sir. Doing good.
Yeah, me and JR were talking about those fresh cuts today, before you got jumped on,
Yeah, I know he was prior to the surgery. He was a stickler for his appointments and his cuts and whatnot. You know what I mean? He would be pissed off if he missed it or couldn't get it. So I know for that 7 or 8 week period, he's probably kicking himself.
Yeah, my barber, she looked at me when I went to see her. She's like, hey.
Hey, I know the feeling. I remember when COVID first popped off, they closed everything down. That's when I was in the DMV, the barbershop closed down. I remember I was FaceTiming with my wife, and she took a picture of the FaceTime, my hair. and she sent it to me. I was like,
said, got him?
Yeah. I mean, it was, I had like a mini, my fro looked like how Kyrie Irving's fro looked. It was out there.
You gents are looking good out there with the fresh cut. For me, my cut is fresh every day, because I can't carry it like you boys anymore. One day you guys will be here, but until then, keep them lines fresh.
But why are you putting that on us?
I remember when I first met you at the cornrows. When I first met
I had hair, and I'm gonna call him out. I don't know if you look at Vern. Vern need to take it to the wood right now. I mean, if you come up on him from behind and be like, boy, nah, he be trying to line it up. What ain't nothing left to line, man. Let that shit go, son. And he ain't 40 yet, so I don't think JR he gonna hold on to his as long as I held on to mine to like mid 50s and stuff. But
I pray I never get to that point.
When you do, I'll be here for you, bro. Oh, I see JR's got his play ball shirt on. That's good because today I want to talk a little bit about baseball with you guys. We're coming up on the 4th of July weekend. Summer's moving at a pretty good clip. That's usually about the halfway point of the season. All-Star games coming up. So I just want to kind of kick a little bit and talk some Major League Baseball, right? So I'll start off with you guys. What are your overall thoughts on the first half of the season so far? Freddie?
I think it's been kind of slow. You have a couple guys that are doing their thing, and I think it's probably going to be, per one of your questions, we are all probably going to have a unanimous answer, I would think. But I think the overall stats and everything with the wins, the home runs, RBI, stolen bases, I think it's kind of slow.
Fair enough. I can respect that. JR, thoughts on the first half of the season?
I think it's been slow, but it's been a lot of action to me between the hitting and the pitching. I think that's what's carrying the season. Although, there's been plenty of web gems, but between the home runs, the no-hitters, the combined no-hitters, the walk-offs, it's been pretty good if you've been watching a lot of games, and it's not just one team. I think that's what kept me really looking at a lot of games, because generally I watch the Yanks, the Mets, and maybe the Nats.
To your point, I'm watching more baseball now of teams that I just didn't watch before.
Yes.
Like if baseball is on, I'm just watching it, and I'm seeing fans and interactions, between the players and it just seems like for maybe 2.5 years, it's been kind of,
yeah.
And it just seems like it's back. And I appreciate it more now because I can watch everybody.
I think that the abbreviated seasons with the no fans, the fans have really made it more livelier, even though I still see a lot of seats not filled.
Yeah, I agree, but I'm a baseball guy. I mean, to the point that I watched the College World Series this year.
Oh, yeah. I watched Little League, bro. I watched the Little League World Series. Hey.
Is there a team, yes or no, and if so, tell me who it is, but is there a team that has surprised you so far in either direction? If so, what's that team and what was the surprise?
I'll have two teams. One would be Tampa, because they won like 100 games, 105 last year, and I think now they're at 39, 40, something like that.
39. They won 39.
And then the team that to me is really the biggest shock to me, and it might sound crazy, is actually the Yankees, right? Because if you look at that division, what they've been doing in that division the last 2 to 3 years, like every year, everybody goes into, this hype with the Yankees. But the last 2 or 3 years, they've been having to deal with Boston and Toronto,
Tampa Bay,
and Tampa, right? And so now, you have them where they're at. So it's kind of like where they are now is what everybody was expecting them to do the last 2 or 3 years, but they just hadn't done it.
JR, who's surprising you right now?
who's surprising me? Well, it's not the Yankees. For me, it's the Minnesota Twins. Only because, these guys are in first place. They're doing it with a pitching staff that has been depleted for almost 2 months.
So I don't have a lot to say because the team that most surprised me also is Minnesota. I'm not saying I expected them to be in the basement, but their play is it's refreshing. They're kicking people's ass that they wasn't supposed to. They're playing really hard, and they don't seem to be tripping at all. So that they have surprised me the most as well. So I'm gonna stick with you, JR. Give me a player that you think is in a good groove right now, an individual player that's just at the top of his game.
Goldschmidt,
St. Louis?
yes, Cardinals. This dude's phenomenal. His numbers, you can't beat it. The dude is a clutch hitter.
He's a clutch hitter, but he's a clutch player too, man.
Yes, and the only problem is it seems like the Cardinals don't have nobody to help them. They're in last place. With this dude doing things he's doing, that's crazy.
Freddie, who's balling out for you, man, so far first half of the year?
I would say Aaron Judge. Elite, 28 homers. I think he's number 3 or number 4 in RBIs. They're doing well with the pitching. So I think it's a total team effort. But Aaron Judge, he's the guy.
I'm happy for him because he's having that type of season as injury-free at a very critical time in his professional development. For me, I'm going to go with Trevor Story, the second baseman for Boston, because he's just playing some lights out. First time he's played second base. When he was in Colorado for 6 years, he was a shortstop. And you know how sometimes, like, for example, what's our guy's name, GR, he was a shortstop here, but when he went to the Dodgers, he had to play second for a while. And then this year he's back at short. I can see his face. Trey
Turner.
Thank you, Trey Turner. Yeah. So what Trevor Story is doing in Boston, he's playing second base like he was born to play, and I think he's playing really, really well. And quiet as it's kept, while everybody's watching what the Yankees are doing, Boston had a very good June. They could be relevant. So for me, it's Trevor Story. Freddie, what team would you say for you has had the most challenges so far first half of this season?
I would say Tampa, because they're number 1. They won their division last year. They were 102 games. Now they're number 4, and I think they have maybe 5, 6, 7 players on the DL. One guy's on the 60-day DL, one guy's on 40, and then they got a few guys that are on 10, 15-day DL.
So I could see Tampa being in there. JR, who's struggling from where you're sitting?
The Nationals. I'm sorry, I like the dude, but I think Strasburg needs to either go to the pen or retire. His injuries or just hurting the team because it throws everything off. If you can't, you know what I'm saying? And it's not like
he can. I don't even think if he was 100%, he's strong enough to carry the Nats. That pitching staff is.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. They're terrible. But he's, you got to have an ace. They have no ace. And he was it. And he's not, he can't perform most of the time.
I don't even know if I would call it a saving grace, JR, but the only thing that I give to the Nats is
the pitcher.
No, I'm saying they sold out last year when they dumped everybody.
Yeah.
From their relievers to, you talk about an ace, Max Scherzer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not surprised by where Washington is because they dumped everybody. I'm upset because, I'm a homer and they're not playing very well. But, for me, I think the team that's really having a bunch of challenges right now is the Dodgers. Came out like a house on fire, super deep roster. Some of those guys that are injured are going to be out for a little while. So it'd be interesting to see. And that kind of leads to the next question I have for you guys is there a team that you think is going to make a run in the second half of the season? I'll start with you, JR. And if so, who's that team?
Tampa Bay.
Why?
Tampa Bay's got young cats that ain't afraid of nobody. And if Rosarina starts playing like he played last year, the half a year before that, they're going to give everybody trouble, including the Yankees, because they ain't scared of them.
So JR's got Tampa making the run in the second half. Freddie, who you got?
I would have to agree with it. If Tampa could get the guys that they have injured off the DL, there's going to be at some point, in the second half of the season, the Yankees probably going to go on a 5-6 game slide. That is going to happen. They're going to go. So if they can, and they probably have 2 or 3 more series against the Yankees this year, I think if they can get their guys back that's hurt, going a good run, I think they can make a run.
Me, I'm sticking with the same team I told you guys before. I think the team that's making a run in the second half is Minnesota. I think that's a team you got to keep your eye on. To me, they have the right balance in terms of what they've done to get to where they are. They're not a surprise anymore. So in the second half, if they can continue this same level of play with the staff that they have, I expect them to see, to make some noise in the second half of the season. Last question I have for you guys, and I'll start with you, Freddie. Do you have a favorite moment of the season so far? If so, what is that?
I think my favorite moment thus far would be the brawl the other day between the Mariners and the Angels. That to me, that was the point. That was my point for me, because I was watching the dude get hit. I'm like, okay. And so then you see 8 guys got ejected, 12 guys are suspended. And then once they did break it up, you had guys in the dugout, like literally throwing stuff on the field. It was, so for me, that was my point thus far.
So I can understand that as an exciting moment. I'm going to categorize that as your favorite moment, but it does back up the fact that you're really not a baseball guy. JR, favorite moment of the season so far?
My favorite moments are funny moments. Like we said, we watch a lot of games and you see a lot of things happening. There was a game where the Nats was playing Atlanta and the pitcher threw, it looked like a beach ball. It was so slow and it hit the dude. I forgot his name. He tensed. And then as soon as the ball hit him, he dropped his bat and fell on the floor like he got killed. Everybody started cracking up. You know what I'm saying? There was another game, San Diego. They had Yu Darvish walking across the field, and he had 4 other players behind him. And everything he did, touch his hat, put his arms up, everything. They did it all in unison, and they followed him across the field, but he didn't know.
I think I got 2. The first one kind of piggybacks on what JR just said. There was a blowout game one time, and so St. Louis put Pujols on the mound to pitch. It was super funny, man. Everything he did was funny. The hits, what he was doing to the opposing team, that to me epitomized what baseball was. My second favorite moment obviously was a couple of weeks ago, the way that the Nats sent Zimmerman out, class act, first guy to get his number retired. He has so many firsts in his league. The number of former players that came back, to pay tribute. Just amazing in an era where nobody sticks with one team anymore. Yep. Hats off to Zim and to the organization that did him well. I do have a question of the week, and I need a quick response from you guys. Are you a fan of group text? And if so, how many group texts do you have?
I guess I'm a fan of it because you can let a lot of people know the same thing. There's no variations of you got this and you got that. Well, I'm on 3. One with you guys, one with my family, and one with the job.
Freddie, how about you?
I'm on like 6 or 7, and I'm okay with them.
I am a fan, but I like it better when everybody in the group, like we have one here for the podcast, I like it when everybody's on iPhone because it works different. Like I'm in another one with Vern and Derek, and Vern is an Android, so all his shit is green in the text bubble, and I can't move data in the right way. I'm probably closer to Freddie in terms of the raw number of them. Multiple ones, with you guys, one with my daughter and the wife, one with Vern and Derek, so one with the coaching staff. So probably more like 7 or 8, but I like it for the reason that JR states. It can keep a group of people in sync on something that is central to them, whether it's you, Freddie, with your family, or whether it's, what JR talked about. It's a centralized message with people who understand you in that forum. That's our question of the week. We'd like you guys to weigh in, on Twitter at 15 Good Minutes or at youtube.com 15 Good Minutes. Are you a fan of group text? And if so, how many are you a member of? With that, it's time for us to check out.
Everybody have a good week.
Everybody have a safe 4th of July.
Happy 4th of July. Everybody have fun. Be safe this weekend. We will see you guys next week.